Hello and welcome to CS264. This is lecture 10 and this is lesson 5. In this lesson we're going to be working with XML data that we receive from a URL. So lots of time we're talking about shipping data back and forth over HTTP, and we use JSON a lot, but a lot of XML data is passed as well. So I thought it would be really useful to show you how to do this. You may have come across it when you were studying, CS230. But I think we mostly work with JSON at that point. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to be using a sample XML file from Microsoft, from their various core services. And you can find a link to that there. So if you don't want to write your own XML, you can actually go there and download it. And I think we should be able to see this because I have it already in my Visual Studio Code. It's not too long. It's okay, but it's a list of books and authors in a catalog. Okay. So we can have a look at this then. Okay, so what I could do is I could use my local XAMPP HTTP server to serve this file, books.xml, and then I could just put it at the root and then just say localhost/books.xml. Or I could actually write a simple HTTP server in C# that just has a single purpose. It serves the file over HTTP every time it's requested, just for fun, okay? Because XAMPP would be much better. So what I did is I searched through the Microsoft documentation, and I found, because we've done this before with Node.js and so forth, I found this HTTP listener demo and class, and there's documentation. You can click through to the link here. And so then I decided I could use this to write my minimal server. So I actually load the XML file and serve it every time somebody visits this file, localhost:8080, and it'll be /books.xml. Or in fact, I could specify any file I wanted to at that point. So this is the minimal server. It's minimal. It's relatively minimal, okay? So basically, it does all the things you would expect to do, and it sets up a very simple HTTP service, and it handles all of the work for you in terms of getting the request and dealing with constructing the response, deals with all the headers, and so forth. And so really what I'm interested in doing is just take the request, and from the request I extract the file name that's specified. If the file name is not the file name that I want, books.xml, then I look for the file to see does it exist. If it doesn't exist, then I serve books.xml, so it's absolutely fine. And that's all I'm doing. And then I return this, and then I run this. I start listening, and I run this in a loop. It's easy enough to do. You can look at the code and see it going. I have a couple of utility classes here just to show the properties, just to get the information of the various types that I can deal with, and all that stuff. Okay, and I can pull out all the information just to get the query and information as well, just so I'm logging here, And this is my program. It's just really while true was true, I just listen, and I just I listen on this address. Okay, localhost 8080. So the best thing to do is just to see this running, and then once it's running, I can show you how we deal with processing the XML that we get back. Okay, we want to serve the XML first, I guess. So let's have a look at this. Where will we go? Okay, so it's here. I'm in the directory here, and let's have a look at my. Okay, let's have a look at my code, my program. Okay, so this is my program. And it's, as I said, it's running here. It's not too bad. It's just all it does is the normal HTTP stuff. Let's go back and run this from the command line. So yeah, I'm listening. Okay, I'm listening here. So that's good, listening. So let's no, let's not do that. Let's okay, so what I did is I just did a curl here in this to pull back the information from, I just did a curl, okay, and I was able to extract the information from this website, okay, so it was fairly straightforward, okay, and I get some information. It tells me here the user agent was curl, all the stuff we know about already, and the URL was books.xml. So that's what we were looking for. Did I look for this? Yeah, I specifically look for books.xml. Let's look for a different XML file. Okay, I notice here that I have departments.xml. So see if I can extract that one. So I'll just do a curl again, and I'll do. So I'm taking it here, and so departments, did that not work? Because I asked for department.xml, so it just served me the books, and it told me that actually here in the information I have this logging information that the URL was department.xml, or the information was department.xml, and really so it looked for books.xml instead. Let's change this to departments. Okay, and now I get this XML that we're familiar with back again. So yeah, so it looks, that's just fine. Okay, so now we know that we have a server that's running. It's written in C#. Now let's look and see what happens when we want to access that using linked XML, which is where we're going with all this. Okay, so we can extract the XML data from URL. So we saw earlier that you can actually load XML from a string, or you parse it from a string, or you can load it from a file, or you can create them directly, but you can also take it directly from over HTTP. So we're going to use the system.xml namespace to help with this, and that gives us access to the Xml Text Reader class declaration. So we're going to access the file that's located at this URL, okay, and we're going to do that using Xml Text Reader, as we've seen here. So we create a string that contains the URL, and it's a URL string, and then we're going to create a new reader from there, from using this string, and then while there's information to be read, we just output the data. Now, I mean, it's not much use just to output it. We probably want to save it to a variable or something. So what's happening really is that reader encounters a new node. It writes the name of the node until there's no more nodes left to read. Then it exits the loop, and that's it. So the XML stream, that's the one from the file, just consists of a series of records, and each record is a node type that can be determined by the node type property. The name and value properties return the node name, the element and the attribute's name, and the node value, which is the node text of the current node or record, and the node type enumerations determines the node type. So it's fairly straightforward, really, to determine and display the name of the elements and the document type accessed from the stream. We can also inspect the attributes of every node. We can check to see, we can use the has attributes property to determine if a node has any attributes. And if it has, then we move on to the next attribute method to iterate sequentially through all of the attributes in the element, write them out, and the attribute count property tells us the number of attributes. So it's straightforward information that's provided to us by the system.xml, and we're able to work with that in conjunction with link as well if we wanted. But okay, system.xml, system.text because I'm using the string builder, and system.io because we're using string reader, and system.xml.link because we're dealing with link magic here. It's great. So the program is there for you. It's my XML URL, and we can go and have a look at that one. That's just my HTTP one. We know that's working and running. And now here's my XML URL. So what I'm doing, okay, I did, as I've said here, I created my information to get the string. So I'm going to save the string actually into some XML rather than output it to the console. I could do it using all these write statements. I'm just creating an XML document, if you like, from this. Okay, and all I'm doing, so I'm looking to see if it's an element, then I just get the element's name, okay, whatever I've read, and then I'm going to, if depending on the type, okay, I can if it's text, okay, I can just append the value essentially, and that's it. And I mean, and I can look for attributes as well. So if I've got attributes, I can just add the various attributes and build up the attribute, and I have appropriate closing brackets, angle brackets as well. So it's all very nice. That's just straightforward. I mean, all I'm doing is converting the nodes to XML. Okay, and you could use this kind of method in order to be able to do that if you wanted as well. So, okay. So I could print this out and see what the stream looks like, but actually, I'm actually more interested in formatting the XML so it looks nice. And then I want to be able to do and play and set it up as an XML document as well. So I've written some extra little utility function here called a format XML, and that just uses pretty string building from this. So let's see it working, right? Because we know we have the service delivering the stuff. So I'll run it here. And what happens is that here is the XML that just came from the stream. That's as I was building the XML. And I mean, it's good. You can see it creates all of the attributes correctly, has the values, all the nodes, until it gets it all done. And then I just wait. I'm just holding here. But I want it to be formatted. So I'm actually using this method here to create a pretty string. Okay, I'm using the string readers on the string that we have. And then I'm actually using a string builder to actually, or text writer, to be able to produce a formatted string and then returning some nice pretty string here. So I end up getting something that looks like this, which is nicer. Okay, and I'm also adding in this header as well, because you'll notice we didn't have a header here and we want to get a header as well. Okay, and that's actually using link. Okay, so we can actually use link to do all that work as well. So I did all the work myself. First of all, I got all this information, built a string. I then did a formatted string, and then actually I was able to read the document, parse it, and actually convert it to a string using Xdocument, which was provided with link to XML. So some magic, as I said already, and it was all done in one line. Okay, so a couple of things going on there. You know, we saw, you know, how powerful C# is. It allows us to be able to generate and write servers. You may not have realized you could do that quite simply. Not good servers, but you know, they'll do. And that's fine. And then we were able to write using link to XML, nice software to be able to pull down XML from that URL and process it within our program. And then we could do all of the other things that we saw in the earlier lessons as well by processing those. Okay, simple stuff really, you know, I suppose when you know how, but hopefully this lesson and the code will help you be able to do this kind of thing yourself. So we learned how to read an XML stream from a HTTP source, in other words, a URL, and we created formatted output, and we saw how to build a simple HTTP web service that streams XML using C#. I've given a list of all the links here that were in the actual document and lesson as well. Okay, thank you very much for watching.